If you are selling cleaning services, get ready for a deep dive into how artificial intelligence is transforming the way building service contractors create, evaluate, and win proposals. From automating tedious bid responses to improving accuracy and alignment with client needs, AI is changing the game for proposal professionals. In our episode today, we'll tap into the expertise of someone who sees the proposal process more than a piece of paper handed over to a client, potential client, and hoping someone says yes to what you're offering. And that expert with me today is a good friend, Chris Arlen, from the cold north of Minnesota. He left the nice warm banks of what, Cancun years ago. How you doing, Chris?
Not quite. Not quite. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thanks for the tease there. It's no snow on the ground yet, so I'm safe.
Really? I'm surprised. Yeah, it's coming.
Uh,
I promise you. By the time people watch this episode, you'll be shoveling snow.
yeah.
Well, Chris, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about using AI to do what you know best, how to create winning proposals.
First of all, it's changing all the time. So I started using it intensively last fall and have done a number of RFPs and proposals. And if AI is the tool, you are not the tool, right? So it's a great tool for certain aspects of what we do. And to produce a winning proposal, you still have to do the basics. You got to write a persuasive story. You got to make the customer the hero, right? Um, but then that means you got to know what's persuasive and you got to know how to make the customer the hero. You always want to base it as much a winning proposal, always base it on inside baseball, on customer confidential information, right? You need to know that AI can't get that. So you got to get that. Lastly, you want to be really specific to that one customer. You don't want to write marketing BS. And that's pretty much the top end of it.
AI, the tools are advancing rapidly. How do you see them changing and getting better in the next couple of years? Because what we want to do as we talk today is plan. You don't want people to play catch up. Because right now, isn't it true that that many companies, when they submit a proposal, it's based on an RFP and it's about pricing, which I know you're not happy about.
Well, my clients aren't necessarily, that'd be a commodity, right? Where everything's exactly equal and price is the only determinant. Luckily for the BSCs, it's not about that. It is about the value you get. The customers are buying the value for what they pay. And that's always been the challenge for them to figure out. Um, I don't know if you're familiar with the Gartner's hype cycle. Have you ever seen that, heard about that? Uh, Gartner's a technology research and consulting firm, and they've been doing technologies for decades. And they've come up with a hype cycle. New technology comes out, man, it goes up to the peak of inflated expectations. And then as people spend billions, it falls down into the trough of disillusionment. And then over time, they start to figure out, okay, this is what it actually does. So right now, the proposal AI tools, I think, are kind of the peak of inflated expectations that are on the downward trend towards that trough of disillusionment, right? You and I have talked about that. So what happens is we're in the phase of checking it out, of working it out. And there's two types, right? There's agentic, which is doing tasks toward a goal. And then there's generative AI, which is creating content, pictures, images, audio, sound, whatever. In my proposal work, I'm using generative because I'm still waiting. I'm a little cautious on agentic just at the moment. I will be hitting it hard, I'm sure. But right now, I'm looking at the generative.
Are you telling me you don't want some machine just spitting out stuff and doing it on its own? You want some control?
Man, I have a great slide. In this world of AI, everyone has access to AI. That's wonderful, right? If you're new, if you're not good at what you're writing proposals, man, just go to AI and say, give me a proposal. You're going to get something, right? You're going to get something. The bad news is everybody else has it too. So all your competitors can do the exact same thing. And what that means is now the floor of proposal writing has just elevated. Now it's still a floor, and everybody's proposals are going to sound a lot like everybody else's. And now it's still the client, the evaluator are going to make that, discernment of what makes sense most. So in the real world of selling, the job is for salespeople to talk to other humans and to get the inside baseball because that's the stuff that's never on AI. Let me see, lawsuits, uh, purchasing failures, ambitious risers, people who have failed. That inside baseball is then the basis of a proposal theme. And so when you write to that proposal theme, not calling out the bad stuff, but writing to the guaranteed innovation or cost control or whatever the proposal theme is, now all of a sudden you're speaking to something that AI doesn't have access to. And when the evaluators read that, man, it's like touching an emotional nerve. It's like electricity going up. They go, wait a minute, how did Jeff know that? Right? So we are going to use tools to make efficiency gains. Things like shredding the RFP, opportunity analysis. It's going to help us do first drafts. It's going to help us do RFP compliance. Did you answer all the questions stuff? We can use that. But the real thing that's going to make a winning proposal is getting that inside baseball, the stuff below the waterline, and then writing a persuasive story around that. And that's what's going to win the day.
So thinking about that, as you respond to a request for proposal, admits that some building you want to bid on. In the past, you would have to research that company. Now, now it's a little easier. How do you use research to work on your proposals, and how much should you automate?
Well, two questions. Let me go to the first one.
Go ahead.
About the research. I've always done it as a consultant. I've always put analysis before the design of the solution, before the writing. Okay. That was the order, analysis. In the past, I'd have to go on site, talk to and pull teeth from salespeople to figure out what's going on with this client. You could do some cursory, Google searches and get some basic stuff. Now I have like a 500 or 1,000 word prompt that I use that gets me very specific things. It's not a generic deep thinking, right? Deep research. I've got very specific things I want to know. I want to know about the business. I want to know about the evaluators. I want to know about the department. I want to know about potential competitors, right? I can get all that stuff, boom. And that becomes the basis of designing a solution. Well, now I still have to go back to my salespeople, right? My clients and say, hey, what do you know? What's below the waterline? What is really going on that you should have been finding out and not waiting for this RFP to, show up on the doorstep? So that's the first part about the research. The second thing is about what do we automate? I think we can do that. We can automate the shredding of the RFP, whether you should even be proposing, right? All the legal stuff, or the financials, all those things, the locations, the analysis we just talked about. You can do first drafts. You can do first drafts based on your existing content. You can pull content, right? And that's something that's another hard thing for my clients is they'll have a ton of documents, but they don't have the information at their fingertips. They'll say, I remember writing an answer to the question like that. Now we can load that up into a big doc, put it in a project file and say, hey, search for this RFP answer. It's going to best answer this question. So there's a lot of stuff we can automate, but never the final draft. That's got to be human always. Otherwise, it's going to sound plastic. Otherwise, it's going to be just like everybody else. So we want to make it human because our customers are human.
A bit ago, you talked about a prompt to do your research. How many words was that? 500 to 1,000?
Oh no, it's probably closer to 1,000. It's probably closer to 1,000.
So every time
words.
you do this, you have to type in 1,000-word prompt?
Of course not. I do it once.
Yeah,
I even
I
have
know.
placeholders in that prompt. A placeholder for company name, project name, the department name. This is the end user, the people running that. So I can put that in, and it's a one-time load, and it's there.
Good to go. Chris, I do want to ask this question. What if you do all this stuff and you have a winning proposal? You love it. You hug that thing. You're happy. And you submit it to a potential client and they say, "Here it comes, Chris. You got to answer honestly. Did you use AI to make this proposal?"
And I'll say
What?
yes.
Okay.
I'll say yes. I'll say yes that I used it for the analysis because I share that analysis with them, right? The AI analysis, the above the waterline stuff. And then I ask them, well, I collaborate with them. I try and, what do they know that's not in the AI world? What's above the waterline or what's below the waterline that they know? So yes. And it goes to the writing. I'll say yes. I'll do a first draft. I've got like a 60-10-30 rule. 60-10-30. The 60 is with really good prompts and really good uploaded project files. I can get about 60% of what I want to that particular answer for that RFP question. Any further iterations really only get 10% more improvement on that. Because what happens is you can start writing like lots of specific prompts or paragraphs to get one word to change, right? Diminishing returns. The last 30% at least, and sometimes even more, has to be rewritten because there are so much other things that AI won't know. I mean, just talking to people, you're going to get a tenor for the emotions. You're going to get a feeling for things that are going on below the waterline by talking to your operational people who who are incumbents, right? Or the salespeople who know that stuff. And that's the nuance from human intelligence, military term, right? People talking to people. That's where you get the stuff that gets written in by hand. That's all.
What people don't know as we have this conversation, Chris, is before we push record, you asked me a question. You said, "Did you use AI to create the questions for this interview?" What'd I say?
You said yes.
Hmm.
You said you did the first draft, and then you come back and you finalize them what you want to get. Isn't
And
that what you said?
yes. And what happened since we pushed record? Did we follow those questions? No.
Oh. Human nature, man. Human nature. We're all over the. But that's to that point. It's a tool. It's just a
Mhm.
tool, and to use it and to expect that tool, it'll make your life easier. You could spit out 1,000 proposals a week if you wanted, but that's not the purpose. We want to secure them. We want to win, and that takes being effective, which means being persuasive, and that's a human thing. Customers make decisions on emotion, and then they look for the facts to justify it, right?
Yes, and you can look at history. This is nothing new when you think about innovation and big changes. People's reaction maybe not as big because there's more people and there's more tech now. But if you look at history, when books were first, when the written word became mass produced, there were pushbacks against that, saying that that'll stop our creativity, our thinking, because we'll be looking at the written word. When it comes to television, movies, same thing. Calculators. We can think of all kinds of innovations that Google Maps, everything.
Yeah,
It's all
yeah,
about using it as a tool, not a replacement. Use it, spend your creative time on something else, use the tool to help you with the mundane.
absolutely. And one of your questions that you did come up with, a really good question, is what should you be aware of? What shouldn't you automate? And you always make me think hard. And the one thing that I've really found is in proposal writing. Okay, I'm not talking about life in general, robotics at Amazon or whatever. But proposal writing, there's two things that I'd be really leery of. One, there are RFP questions that are asking for facts, right? I call them the qualification questions. How many years in business? How many people? What certifications? Right? Those are facts. And you have to be careful when you're using AI because it will hallucinate. It'll make up stuff, even if you're asking it to pull from something, right? There's a saying that AI, generative AI, is 97% accurate, but 100% confident. So you're always going to get an answer. The problem is you got to be checking that stuff, right? So the first thing is facts. The second thing is the proposal. There'd be questions that are like application questions. How will you do this? And so that's when the seller, the supplier, the BSC can actually say, we will do this. We propose this. Well, again, with AI, you got to be careful that it's not saying stuff that's impossible, like anti-gravitational boots or something, right? You got to make sure. So that's why that 30%, not just writing is important at the end manually, it's got to be editing. You can't let anything go out. That's an AI only proposal.
I like it. Well, we're about out of time. We went overtime as normal, Chris, but good information. I I have a last question for you that is not, you don't know it's coming, but it's
Oh,
an
go
easy
ahead.
it's an easy one. Those watching
Okay.
right now, if they made it this far, they have a building service contracting company. They don't use AI to do their proposals. They want to get started. Besides, call Chris Arlen right now. What can they do besides that? I mean, they can call you. You're out there. What can they do to get started?
They're going to be the only proposer. If it's a one-off thing, use AI to shoot it out straight. Why? Because the customer doesn't have to compare it to somebody else. But if there's a chance that there's a second, third, or fourth supplier who's going to be putting in proposals or a technical RFP, you better do the full 9 yards. You better go and do the analysis, right, of the opportunity, of the evaluators, of the competitors, things like that. You've got to do the whole thing. But if they're going to start out, shred an RFP. And shred just means, let's get, what do I need to know about this RFP? Ask them to do that. That's shred. That's going to tell you right off the bat, really nice summary of things. The next thing is do the analysis, do some search, ask questions about their company. Is it doing well profit wise? Is it closing warehouses? What's it doing? Basic stuff. And then go ahead and use it to pull your old stuff. Put in some of your old proposals, and then it'll do it. And then lastly, write like a human, as your customers are.